You can sit, but my colleague will pass around with 3 pieces of paper. We ask you to pick one of them. And then you'll read for us what the paper says. We know that there is stuffing of the ballot here, but this time pick only one, please. So the last candidate to pick there, what number do you have? You have a microphone in front of you. You can tell the public what number you have.
Number 3.
You are candidate number 3.
Candidate number 2.
Candidate number 2. I can assure you there was no rigging. Please tell us, yes.
Candidate number 1.
Candidate number 1. So, colleagues, for the candidature of Vice Chancellor of Makerere University, we have 3 prepared questions which the moderators are going to ask you. We expect you to respond to each of the questions, and we shall follow this order. For the first question, we follow the order of the numbers 1, 2, 3. And for the second question, the second candidate starts, followed by the third, then followed by the first candidate. And for the third question, the third candidate starts, followed by the first, and then the second candidate last.
How do you plan to strengthen the role of Makerere University in the public space, in the national policy arena and development?
Thank you, Madam Moderator. Makerere University is a very strong university. We account for 95% of all research publications in this country. We account for 95% of all publications in this country. Unfortunately, most of them end up on the shelves of researchers after they get promoted. This is a great potential. We just need to put in place the necessary structures. If you read through my book, where I was not able to elaborate due to shortage of time, I am setting up a government liaison office. This office is going to be my spy on what government is doing, so that I know everything, what is happening in this, so what are they planning any policy, what consultants do they need. So, putting up the necessary structure to liaise with the government very efficiently is what I'm going to do.
Thank you very much for the question. Already, Makerere University is doing a lot in contributing to national development. A lot of members here belong to various committees. What we need to do, and that's why I mentioned the committee structure, that harmonizes what we are already doing. So it's something that we see. For example, I'll give an example. I chair the Resource Mobilization Committee for Global Fund for the nation. And I'm sure that a number of the members of staff, and that's why I referred that the greatest resource that we have is the human resource here. What we need to do is to bring back those debates, those conversations that we are seeing. And I give an example. During the last presidential elections, our department, the Department of Political Science, had a huge opportunity of being part and parcel of that process. In fact, we did, the head of Department of Political Science chaired the public debate where some of these colleagues were. And so this is the place of Makerere University, not to do these things as individuals, but to do them as institutionally organized. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. One of the core functions of Makerere University is knowledge transfer partnerships or art technology transfer. So as a university, we can have a two-way communication with the general public. The other thing is that our innovations can be also like, can promote arts in the communities. We also need to look at the element of dissemination through conferences, through workshops, and other avenues. At the national level, you can look at policy briefs to Parliament. We can look at engaging Parliament whenever they are coming up with bills. We can look at advisory services to all the three arms of government. We have good professors here in law. I like reading most of the time articles from Professor Roko Nyango. So we can actually influence the public on, depending on what we are doing at Mackay University. The other element is on participating in international events. We can be able to influence what's happening elsewhere. Publishing with international faculty, having joint programs, basically pushing this idea of internationalization. Also being on international bodies. Like I used to sit on the UN Advisory Council for the Secretary General, have participated in the African Union Commission activities and so on. So we need to go out there, and there are so many people here who participate across the globe. So to me, there is a lot we can do. Our faculty can have sabbatical, can have short visits at other universities, other organizations abroad, and even here within the country. What's wrong with somebody at Makerere visiting Kabale University or UCU for a semester? Thank you very much.
So the question is, Makerere University's successes and challenges can be adduced to her diverse stakeholders. As a leader, could you explain how you intend to bring about cohesiveness in addressing the challenges?
I think for quite a good time, Mackay University has looked inwards. We have been spending more time discussing and perhaps even conflicting among ourselves. And so, in a way, that has created a situation where the cohesiveness, even within among ourselves, has been affected. So, part of the agenda is to begin to address the internal cohesiveness. Because if you're not internally working together, you cannot even think about cohesiveness of the diverse players out there. To the extent that sometimes, because we have lacked the cohesiveness internally, the gap has been filled by the other diverse players. And so I would like to start with that first, to increase the ownership and the togetherness of us, so that then we can meet the rest of the partners as one. We have had cases where we've gone to some of these fora and we can't even speak one voice. Each one of us who is going there is speaking something different. So that's the first place we have to start. The second is to have continuous or periodic engagement so that we do not wait, for example, for government to invite us when there is a problem, but to have government, development partners, and the others. So, for example, if we have the annual stakeholders meetings that we used to have then, that bring together people to look at what we are doing, what they would like us to do, and we work together. But my first is to deal with internal cohesiveness so that then we can speak. In the morning, there was a question about whether the administrators were separate and so forth. So we work on that, then we can engage. The second thing is that each one of us has trained people that are representative of those diverse players out there. We would like to exploit and encourage that advantage that we have to relate with the various stakeholders. So again, the basis is really us to go out there and work with the rest of them in a partnership mode. I think sometimes we've gone there in a confrontational mode. I would like to change that so that we can work in partnership.
Thank you.
Thank you very
Thank you.
Thank you very much. I think starting with Mackay University, we need to ensure that all the stakeholders within Mackay University knows their roles and responsibilities. So that has to be explained to everybody, and we have to understand what those roles and responsibilities are, right? From students, staff, management, governance organs, and so on. The next one is to ensure that within the university, we have team building activities. And whenever there are issues, you look at how best to address them. It is important for leaders to listen to their subordinates and also their seniors. We need to do a lot of consultations. We need to have stakeholder engagements. Now, on top of this, we need to look at the institutional structures. Do the structures support cohesiveness? Are the laws weak? Are we engaging with the external stakeholders like alumni, parents, the international community? We have to have all those concerns addressed. At times, there can be misinformation out there. And also have to create avenues where the university can continuously engage within the country and outside the country. And if you focus on what the university stands for, the mission, vision, and you ensure that everybody moves in that direction, all these issues can be addressed. Because what normally happens, if you don't have a common focus, people can stray. So if you can have the activities, people are engaged, there is consultation, there is leadership, there are conflict resolution mechanisms, you can have cohesiveness. I thank you.
I'm going to use my strength to deal with this problem. You know, our stakeholders are students, staff, government, the public, and our donors. As you know, I have good rapport with the staff. The students are always marching with me. I believe with the various MOUs that I have already created with the government, they now believe in me. The public, I understand this morning, was saying, yeah, probably, yeah. And I told you, the donors, they're just like me. Now, if you have everybody believing in you, what you need is clear-headed leadership, which I have. So, it will be very easy for me to bring all these people together. What is important is to make everybody understand we have one common purpose. What is this common purpose? Taking our people out of poverty. Can we take that leadership? Can we bring everybody together? We are ready to move.
Makerere University, all of you have stated, is a premier institution, premier university in Uganda. And yet, out there, people have started posing doubts on the quality of our graduates coming out of this university. What I would like you to do for us this afternoon, is to mention 3 factors, in your view, which are likely responsible for these doubts. And then you quickly give us your plan to address them.
In my presentation, when I was talking about the budget, I said 62.2. If you look at the financial statements for the year ended June 2016, June 30, 2016, 62.2% of the resources were spent on the wage bill or employee costs. And when you look at what was left for things like teaching materials and other core activities of the university like research, there was little left. Yet at the same time, we have not reached the living wage. So one of the issues is underfunding. And as I suggested, we are going to increase on resource mobilization to ensure that we have funds to support all the core activities of the university so that our products, when they get out there, they are not underlooked. The other one is communication. People can have perceptions about an institution. They can even doubt your products when your products are very good. I've seen graduates leaving Makerere going to Cambridge, Oxford, Harvard, and they excel after their bachelor's. They become the best students. I did it in Norway. I was their best student in my year for PhD. So we need to communicate to the public what is happening. Then the other one is again on staff. If you look at our establishment, Makerere University is currently understaffed. We need to do a HR audit and find out where we need to recruit immediately, where we need to get to colleges. At times, some of these things don't happen because you find like somebody has a project at a college and has to come to the center to recruit the project staff. You know, we need to decentralize some of these things to the colleges and ensure the issue of human resources is addressed. But the other solution is to deploy e-learning. Use professors, lecturers elsewhere. Use people in industry to address the issue of understaffing. And you can also look at internet labs like at MIT and other places. So we are very innovative, and a good thing, I'm a professor of ICT or computer science. All these issues of using technology to enhance the teaching and learning, I'll look into them and we shall have them implemented. I thank you very much.
Thank you.
I have been following the public concerns about Makerere's academic credentials keenly over many years. The first one used to be the large numbers of students versus the space. There was a time when newspapers used to sell by saying our students are studying by rumors because we had large numbers who could not fit in a classroom. Largely, we have addressed that. But we will continue addressing that issue. We are improving our facilities. We are going to introduce modern teaching methods apart from the space that we have created. That's one thing. But of course, we need to inform the public. They don't know that our students no longer study through rumors. The first one is the integrity of academic papers. Of course, we have a problem that we are competing with NASA Road, which also prints our certificates. But we introduce a system. What we need to do, and what I actually already started doing, is to ensure that nobody tampers with our academic credentials. We must ensure the security of our results. And that's why I'm advocating that as much as is possible, all academic issues should go to the colleges, transcripts are issued there, nobody should be able to change any mark. That's one of the things that has got the greatest danger of tarnishing and destroying our university as a top university. There has been the issue of sex for marks. We have handled that, but here, let me warn everybody, there will be no compromise. Any report that you are trying to do anything in that direction, we shall discuss when you are out of the university.
Thank you very much. The way I have appreciated the question is that is one of the public opinion, not so much we ourselves inside. Because internally, we continue to excel in terms of research, in terms of publications, and that is why we continue to be third, fourth. And so for me, the issue is that how come that we are in that league and people still doubt the standing of Makerere University? Three things. The first one is strikes and unrests within Makerere University. Getting to a stage where parents and the public are not sure that if they committed their children to us, they will be able to finish within that time. That's the first thing. The second one is the quality of programs and the products that we put out there. You know, where you find employers doubting the students that we pass out and saying they are not measuring up to what they're supposed to do. Although when they go abroad, they excel. So that's another thing. The third one is is relevance, our relevance to the national development process. We continuously get those questions that, yes, you are good, but we don't see you. We do not see somebody who has been part and parcel of developing, for example, a policy that allows government to deal with the East African community issues. So those are, I think, the three factors that I see that work against us. The first one on strikes and unrest, because then people say it is students, it's lecturers, it's administrative staff, we don't know who is going to strike next. And part of the issue has been that there hasn't really been that much communication across. And that is why in my presentation I did mention something on working on inclusiveness, on ownership, through committee structures, through discussions and debates, strengthening the departments. Over the years, the departments have weakened. And I think that if we strengthen the departments, secondly, as I mentioned, working on student leadership structures so that we can, revive and reinvigorate the role of the guild. Because right now, I think student leadership structures are presenting a problem, and therefore it becomes very difficult to deal with this unrest and so forth. Again, when you look at MUASA, MASA, I would like to see a broader engagement within those. I think we're getting to a stage where the executive is MUASA or the executive is MASA. We would like to see how we can go back to those. So that's the first factor. The second factor on quality of programs and the products that we pass out. In my presentation, I did mention strengthening overt quality assurance. We have already started on the process of restructuring, of harmonizing of programs, and I think that that is going to create possibility of reviewing our programs. And I would like already to say that we have support from development partners to look at our curriculum, to see that we have curricula that can produce people. So and that's where the issues of missing marks, of quality and things. The last one is relevance to national development agenda. And I would like to see Makerere University playing greater role in policy formulation, especially in guiding government on some of these policies like PPP and the others that are coming up. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Members of the public, we would just like to spice up this presentation a little bit. And we request candidate number 3 to pose a question to one of his colleagues. Anything that you can pose a question to each of your colleagues, one for candidate number 1 and one for candidate number 2. And they respond in 1 minute. 1 minute.
Sorry, I pose it to both of them.
You can pose one question to both of them, or you can pose separate questions. The choice is yours. But both of them should have an opportunity to address you.
Now, using your experience in the area of research and innovations, how are you going to rely on that experience to promote research and development in Makerere University and make Makerere University the #1 research university?
Currently, the emphasis has been on individual excellence. A lot of people are writing a lot of research projects, but they're individual projects. I would like to move this individuality to communality. I would like, and that is why in the morning I talked about centers of excellence. I'll give an example. Professor Sabiti has one of the really nice center of excellence on garbage collection and so forth. We would like to build around that a community of researchers that can also help doctoral students, master's students. So using those, we can harness our leadership in this area. So I think moving from individual to community of researchers, we will harness the capacities, we'll write bigger projects, and we will produce greater results.
Thank you.
That's how I would like to see it.
Thank you.
If I didn't know that Professor Variamreva knows that I have so much experience. In research management. Indeed, my experience is immense. As I told you earlier, I led the CEDA program to become the best program for 30 years of SAREC's existence. That's an immense experience. I have led the regional programs, including the regional program in engineering for 3 major universities in Eastern and Southern Africa. I have led the consortium on vernacular architecture. That experience is going to give me the ability to roll out all that experience to the rest of the university, to encourage multidisciplinary research teams, which are the order of the day in many universities, and where we are somehow lagging behind.
Thank you very much. I'll pose one question to both my colleagues, because both my colleagues have been in the high office, so this should be applicable to both of them. One of the things that bothers us at Makerere University is the level of withdrawal, and sometimes people call it apathy, that you experience or you see in the academic staff, the administrative staff, the support staff. What will you do to turn around that so that we have an engaged community of Makerere University? Thank you.
By assuring Professor Kirumira that I have not been the VC. Because he said we have been both to that office. I haven't been there yet. I just want to go there. However, the level of withdrawal of our staff. What is the magnitude of the level of withdrawal? I don't think it is such a big issue. I have said, if we had that level of withdrawal, there is no way we would be anywhere as number 2 in research in Africa. Even in academic programs, we are ranked number 3. So, we may have a few people, and we are aware, and we are dealing with that problem. Some people who just disappear, we get to know that, and we deal with it. I have confidence in my academic staff. I have confidence that it is they, together with the administrators and support staff, that are going to propel us to number 1 within 1 year.
One of the issues that makes staff withdraw has to do with promotions. If you look at the administrative staff, support staff, some of these people stay for 20 years without any promotion, without any movement in the salary steps. So we need to ensure that we bring about equitable promotions for both academic, administrative, and support. The other element, if you want somebody to do some work, at times they may not have the skills. So you have to engage in capacity building for staff, and capacity building across all categories. If you want somebody to write a research grant, train them. If you want somebody to teach well, give them refresher courses. This is the issue of living wage. Staff feel that what their students earn out there is much more than what they are earning here at Makerere. So we need to look into this issue and continue to work towards the living wage. There is the issue of research environment. If I'm a professor, I don't have a good lab, a good environment, I don't have research assistants, I can kind of get frustrated in a way. If I'm going to teach, and I'm teaching industrial chemistry, I need to find chemicals, the teaching materials, instructional materials in the labs. So in most cases, those are some of the things that make staff withdraw. We need to improve on the learning environment. We need to improve on even offices. Some people may not have offices, they say, no, I think I have to be outside. And lastly, we need to come up with a motivation recognition system where performers are recognized and those who are not performing are also improved on.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Moderator. I have separate questions for each of my colleagues. For candidate number 3, could you share with us the different challenges in competing for presidency as compared to competing for vice chancellorship? For candidate number 2, could you tell us the greatest achievement which gives you the confidence that you could actually compete with me?
Candidate number 2, you'll go first.
Thank you very much. First of all, my friend here is going to have a tough time competing with me, so that should not be a really big thing. But seriously, if I may to mention one thing that I know I'm very, very, very good at, is human resource capacity building. Every unit that I've headed, and department, former faculty, now the college, can testify that that is one area I'll look for the funds, I'll get the people trained, I'll give them postdoc opportunities. We have formed teams to do research projects, so that is one area. And if somebody is to lead this Makerere University, you need to have a human resource that is really good, that you go out there and the professor stands up and say, I'm in charge of a $2 million project and I am calling government to come and sit and we'll look at this. So one area that I'm sure that none of my colleagues here can compete with me is in the area of human resource. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
One of the challenges in the race for the VC and the race for the presidency is like, if it was a boxing game, you know, I would have already given them a knockout. But you have to go all the way up to the end. So, whether you assess experience or what they say, you have to go all the way up to the end. So I'm doing that. The other one is, you know, in politics, at times performance does not matter. They can vote for whom they want, whether he has given the same sort or otherwise. When it comes to, in a university setting, there are times when the race for the VC can also become a bit political. Some people can go maligning you, somebody can say this guy is a drunkard, you know, when you have never been a drunkard. And they can even go to some offices, you know. So those are challenges. You need to ensure that you focus on what people can do. And also, if you are going to choose a vice chancellor, for example, one challenge that we always face in many institutions, they say when you are putting in place like a search committee, it becomes political. Instead of going to Senate and say, we want to select a search committee, the vice chancellor is going to be responsible for the academic, administrative, and financial affairs. Who can we put in the area of finance, the area of administration, the area of academics, and you have a balanced team? I'm not saying the current team is not okay, it's very okay, but I'm saying you look at those issues. And then the other one is on, you have to know how to please the people who are going to finally make you be a vice chancellor or be the president of the country. There are times when you have to say, this is what I want to do, but you can't say it. I'll give you an example. If any candidate stood here and said, we need to reform the governance structure of council, somebody said, that one, I'll not vote for him. So we need to look at these issues. And They can easily affect you. And the very last one.
Yes.
When you are choosing a VC, you know the VC position like in Uganda, it requires a lot of energy. You need somebody like me at 48 who can walk day and night. Thank you very much.